And Tom, what about you? Can you speak a little bit about employee engagement and employee retention and kind of how it helps with financial results?
Sure, just a couple of quick thoughts. I mean, I've said before a number of times that we obviously put a lot of reliance upon our employees. So we ask our employees a lot of questions. We have a lot of focus groups among our group. And again, we talked a lot about engaging them. And I'll give you one example that we, like a lot of you, I'm sure, at some point in time have addressed the ever-popular issue of tattoos and a tattoo policy. Seems to be pretty popular these days. I never thought I'd have two sons with tattoos, but guess what? It happened. Old man ain't happy about it, but that's just the way it is. So we had, the story goes that we had we thought we would, well, let's see, we need to address the issue. We don't seem to hadn't been doing a very good job of policing it. Didn't know for sure what the right answer was, so we got a committee together of maintenance people, office staff, corporate office, and there was a guy that walked in who I hadn't met before, was 6'4", 6'5", could have played the entire offensive line for some football team. Maintenance guy comes in, he's got, the ex-wife and the girlfriend and the dog and the 57 Chevy or whatever else he's got going on here. He said, "What do you think of those tattoos?" And I said, "Well, they're great, Bubba." Whatever. I probably would have not said a word. But anyway, he was committed that was what he wanted to do, and that was he didn't have to do this or that. Well, it was funny that I'll give you the short story, not the whole conversation, but after he sat there and after there was a lot of dialogue and conversation about our reputation, professionalism, commitment, appearance, importance of those things to the residents, to our clients, and to what the message and the appearance we send to the public, I'll tell you what, he was the first guy that stood up then and said, "You know what, I understand." 60 minutes later, he had gone from an absolute, very vocal, outspoken proponent of, I'm going to, have my tattoos displayed however I want to, you know what, I understand it, I get it, it's not appropriate in this instance. And so we've developed a policy now that came from that committee, and we were all kind of amazed that when he sat there and gave it a little bit of an open-mindedness and had an opportunity to participate in the process, and he was pretty vocal at first, but it was a conversation among his peers and his fellow employees and some supervisors that they all collectively decided to come up with a policy, which is the one that we have today, that we hope we probably get as much buy-in as we possibly can. But it was interesting how that process worked, and it really kind of goes to the point of employee engagement. We engaged them in the process. We didn't take a dictatorial approach about it and say, look, this is kind of the way it's going to be, like it or not. We felt it was important to get that buy-in, and you're always not going to get that. You're always not going to get a consensus of people. You'll have to make a decision sooner or later. But I thought that was an interesting instance where it seemed to work for us. And then the other thing about engagement retention quickly is we're big believers. I know everyone else is too. But every opportunity we have to get employees out, to a function, to an apartment association event, to a job fair, and we heard it this morning, I think, that anytime you can get them out there in your logo, and with your shirt on, with your uniform, with your hat, I'm telling you, people enjoy it. They like it. They're proud of where they work. They enjoy telling people about their company, and we really try and promote that as best we can, because I think sometimes we underestimate that, and we don't think that's important to them. It's important to us because we want that representation. But I'll tell you, we get more feedback from more people that have said, "Thank you for allowing me to attend those events. We really think it's great." So I would encourage all of you that if you do it, any way you can continue to do it and do it more, I think is beneficial.
This next topic is around motivation and growing, and it kind of encompasses career paths and mentorship, which is something that also feeds into employee retention and employee engagement.
I would just tell you that we do, I think, a lot of the same things that you've heard before. We have an associate regional portfolio director position. We've just hired 3 people to join our staff, again, from outside the company. The good thing about our business and our book of business has grown 15 to 20% a year for the last 6 years, and so we're continuing to move people through the system. So we get the question we often get, like you folks get, is, what's my career path? What's my opportunity? Who's going to mentor me through that process? And so we've been fortunate enough to be able to point to a number of different examples where well, this person started in this role, then now they're at this community, or they've accepted this job, or now they're in that leadership position. So all of that's been very, very good for us. And we do the same kind of, we have a 5-star academy, we call it, where you go, you get stars on your name tag. We put stars on their name tags depending on how far they've advanced through the academy and what classes they've taken, which helps a lot, helps with their recognition at company events, and people seem to like that. We use, Grace Hill a good bit for some online training. And like I said, we, in our leasing dynamics class, it is kind of our leasing 101 or whatever you might call it. Again, that's a program and a product that was developed internally with a lot of our leasing people and our on-site staff, and we use our managers to teach that class. So we, even though we had training people will do it obviously, but we go back and rely on the people who helped us develop the curriculum to actually instruct that program and the new people coming into our company.
If we can just kind of quickly just touch on executing the plan and why that's important.
A lot of this business has become about managing expectations. If you think about it for a minute, whether it's budgets, whether it's performance, whether it's the growth of your company, it's really about defining and managing those expectations and communicating them appropriately. So I would say that's a big part of it. And then the second thing I would tell you is about leadership, and you heard this morning, write this down. This is going to be very important. One thing to take away is that one of the most important things that leaders need to do is turn around and make sure people are following. Right? Think about it for a minute. Boy, we've all been in an environment where we've seen somebody there going, what in the heck, or where are they going? We don't get it. And so I would suggest to everyone at some point in time, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly, however you do your evaluations or you assess your performance or your team's performance, make sure that those leaders that you think are really good at leading, that people are following.
And Tom, I'm going to let you kick the topic off on credibility.
Oh, boy. Credibility, real quick. Here's my one comment I wrote down. I said, you can't fake it. Either you got it or you don't. So if you don't understand what that means, I think take a look at your organization, and I say and there's certainly ways you can improve it, but I would say, we see a lot of people in this business that I think kind of try and fake their way through it, and for the most part, it's a bad strategy, a bad idea. So if you really, really are focused on your business and your clients and your goals, I think that the credibility will come with it, but you've got to continue to be focused on it to make sure it's there.